This Homestead-Miami NASCAR 2024 weekend betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Only a few weeks remaining in the 2024 NASCAR season. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and we are here today, Cody, to wrap up an entertaining. I enjoyed all three races this weekend at Miami, Homestead-Miami, and I know you did too.
Holy shit. Tyler Reddick, Rod. Let's fucking go. Gotta love it. He's going to be racing for a championship. Yeah, what a weekend. Great racing. All three races, a lot of excitement, a lot of storylines. Came down to the end, really, in all of them. I mean, what more could you ask from the championship races? Oh, wait, it's not the championship races anymore, Rod. We need to fix that. But it should be because, wow, this track is something else. Man, what a weekend of racing. I mean, we really kind of hyped this one up and said we were excited for it, and it delivered more so than you could have even asked for, I think. So, yeah, it was a great weekend just racing-wise, great weekend betting-wise. We had a killer weekend, which was really nice. So just 2 weeks left, unfortunately, but less than 100 days away until the Clash of the Coliseum already, Rod, but who's counting? So, yeah, here we go.
I mean, we're counting, and we're giving you the car number history. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys. Everybody's reaching.
Although I brought that up in the Discord, and some of the guys who hadn't heard it before were like, ooh, hey, we might like that idea. So who knows, Rod? Maybe it'll make a return. We'll see.
I needed something. Content filler for the off season. Like, everybody was like, oh, no, we don't have any NASCAR content in the off season. I'm trying to give you some. And, yeah, that's for sure. TK agrees. A great cup race for sure. Yeah. Look, like I said, it started off this weekend just with the trucks. What fantastic. I mean, it could have been better. Could have been a couple more things that would have went right for us in that betting wise.
I think it went pretty well.
Well, you do, but there was a couple things that I could have enjoyed a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, all three series delivered, and that's exactly what you wanted out of this race weekend. So we're going to have some fun talking about that and going over our bets. But first and foremost, I want to thank you, as always, for tuning in to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. You, family, have made this 530 episodes strong of this show, and it just continues to kick ass and to have so much fun being able to deliver this content to you. So if you could take a couple seconds, as we have done every single day bringing you content, just toss a little 5-star review our way. Spotify makes it very simple. There's 5 stars up there. Tap the button, hit all 5, and you're done. And then you can continue and move on. You don't even have to stop the episode. That's the good part about it. You just keep listening, tap the 5 stars while you're listening, and let's go. Prevent corporate gambling from taking over, too, in the meantime. Every star you give is another weapon against corporate gambling. So the more stars, the better. All right, Cody, I want to go into the Wayback Machine because there is a piece of history that we need to dig up here, and so let's do that. I'm gonna go in the Wayback Machine. So
let's do it. Write this down right now, Rod. It is November 16th, 2023. Tyler Reddick is my guy for 2024. Give me Tyler Reddick to win the championship. Give me his over on the win totals. We are going to see a Tyler Reddick season. He is going to have 5 to 7 wins in 2024. Rod is actually writing it down. This is why you watch on YouTube. He is currently writing it down, which is a good thing. But no, I'm very, very bullish on Tyler Reddick this season. 14-1 for the championship. I think you get in on this one number now because I think it's a good number. He's so freaking talented, and so many times we've compared him to Larson, and in my opinion, just raw racing driver talent, probably only behind Larson at this point in his career where he's at. Andrew, what do you mean maybe not 5 to 7 wins? He's got 3 wins. We got 2 races left. 3 plus 2. That's 5 wins, baby. It's still alive.
I love the optimism. I don't know about that, though. I mean, I know that this is one of those instances where, yeah, he won, and he is going to take a big, long sigh of relief. And probably, if any team right now is just going to be focused on Phoenix, it's going to be that 45-2. We said that Joey, had an outside shake.
Joey didn't even show up. Did Joey even race this weekend?
No, the 22 car was
already in Phoenix.
Yeah, the 22 car was being driven by a Tesla automatic driver. That's essentially was making lane changes by itself and maintaining the same speed that it was. But yeah, I mean, look, overall, called it in November. Like we knew that Reddick was going to be good. You specifically called him out in several instances, but yeah, I mean, kind of wasn't hard to
dig up you calling out Logano too, because I think that was in our closer to the season, like when we made our like official, here's like right before the season championship picks. I know you gave out Joey Logano, so yeah, we both have nailed those 2 so far. Of course, those are the 2 that are locked in, which is great. TK also saying close to 5 wins through a couple away. That's very true, right? He had the potential to win some more races for sure. So yeah, been on this train for a while. 14-1 is what we had that episode. Ended up getting 16-1 later. I think he jumped up into the 20s at one point. I got to go back and look through all my tickets, but I know I've got multiple tickets on him. So I was celebrating. Plus, I had him to win this weekend, of course. Spoiler alert, which was great also. So, yeah, man, the dream lives on, Rod. And Tyler Reddick going to have a chance to battle for that championship in a couple of weeks here.
And really, in a way that this race was not, I mean, this wasn't even a controversial finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been a few this season where you're like, yeah, but no, Tyler Reddick really earned the hell out of this one. That move, those moves at the end, I mean.
He went from 3rd to 1st in a lap, Rod, and he blew by Blaney like he wasn't even moving. It was insane.
Yeah. No, it was fantastic to watch the skill that he needed to pull off that move. The balls. I mean, this isn't riding the wall of Martinsville. It's not the Hail Melon. But it sure as hell was the closest thing you could come at Miami to one of those type of moves.
Yeah, when we saw a move like that from Larson earlier in the race that potentially could have won it for him, and look how that went. Like it doesn't always go good. So yeah, glad everything worked out for him, and his ticket is punched, and yeah, now we've got 2 of the 4 spots filled.
2 of the 4 spots filled, and I mean we're Jesus, man. I still can't believe that we are on the tail end of this season. It makes me sad in a way, but yet I'm like, okay, I get to catch my breath, but then do we really, though? That's the thing.
Do we really? Yeah, and the good thing, Rod, I was looking back to find that and some other stuff. And November 14th last year, we had Daytona 500 odds out already, and we did early picks for that. November 16th is when that show was from that we just played the clip from with championship odds. We had championship 4 odds out by November 25th. So, yeah, we're not going anywhere, friends. We're going to have futures to jump into right away, assuming that it's the same as it was last year, which I think it should be.
Yeah, again, there's no rest for the wicked because we definitely continue to bring you all of the odds as they start to come by. But yeah, we will. You know what? Let's do this. We're going to talk about our bets as we always do for this particular race because I feel like it's going to be fun to talk about. We just talked about it too. It's going to be a lot of fun to go over our bets. So we'll do that as we talk through the races we always do. But first, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all of sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, Formula One, and of course, so much more. Boostober is upon us, which means that you're getting a spooky amount of profit boosts and so much more. You can also use specials and boost on all of Flex entries. Look, we give you all of our favorite underdog plays each and every week. So go back and make sure you either listen to see what we got right, or listen ahead to see what we are going to get right in the following week for the next race. In the meantime, sign up with the promo code RACESGPN, claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. Well, like you said, Cody, Tyler Reddick wins at Homestead-Miami, locks himself into the playoffs, does not have to worry about next week at Martinsville, can just enjoy the ride for the rest of whatever is left of the regular season, which again, only one race. But no, listen, like I said, this race had everything. It had chills, it had spills, it had late cautions, it had tire management, it had fuel saving for a little while in there. And and in the end, Tyler Reddick leads 97 laps, ends up winning the race.
The most important one, Rod. That is what matters. All right, let's jump in, take a look at the bets here. I started out with the shitbox special this week. It was Zane Smith for Group G, plus 310. He was the longest shot in this group. It was over Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, Michael McDowell. Not really a close one. McDowell, 14th place. He easily won this group. Stenhouse was 21st. Jones was 22nd, and Zane Smith was 30th, unfortunately. So I don't really remember seeing much of Zane throughout this race, so I'm not really sure what exactly happened, but unfortunately did miss that. I did, though, Rod. Also, I crammed a lot of bets into some of these boxes because I liked a lot of things this weekend. One of the things I liked was hashtag fade Joey Logano. Took Chase Elliott over him. Look, like we just mentioned, was Joey Logano even in this race? Nobody knows. Starts 26th, finishes 28th. I mean, it does sound like a Tesla auto driver was just driving it and kind of stayed right where it was all day. He was never really a factor. You never saw anything from it, and that's sort of what we expected. I wouldn't be surprised to see that again this weekend, as he's going to be putting everything into getting that 12 car set up, and everything for practice is going to be to help the 12 car, which almost worked last week, Rod, right? He ends up finishing in second place. So be interesting to look at fading him. Be interesting to look at fading Tyler Reddick as well, because I bet he's going to be running stuff for the 11 car this weekend, Rod, because that's his co-team owner, right? So we'll have to see what we get for head-to-heads there, but missed out on the group. But those are fun. I'm going to continue to do those groups these last couple of weeks. And then the Elliott over Logano one worked, and hopefully you took probably anybody else you could get over Logano. I would imagine likely everyone else you would have bet against him cashed. I mean, he didn't beat very many people.
Yeah, Logano, it for a second was like, okay, he's going to be in competition. And then it just was like, no, we're going to stay out of the fray, because there's a couple of things that happened early that kind of spooked some folks out. Obviously that second lap commotion. I do not know, Cody, how we did not lose the entire field on that first caution. That 7 car, the only
it's the car. Okay. I just want to let the record show, Rod, it is the car. Multiple times. The 7, and I looked up that second time, and I go, fucking LaJoy. And then I'm like, oh, he's not in the 7 car. It's the 7 car, Rod. Something's wrong with it. It hits the spin cycle every 200 laps or something. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, ironically enough, he took out Recky Spinhouse too. So, it was a matter of, and look, honestly, the 7 needs a software update. So I think they need to just push.
It's like, there's just a glitch in the game, right? It was like, every 200 laps, the car just spins out. There's nothing you can do about it. So
you're like, the sim
just gotta hope you're in the way.
But yeah, no, I don't know how we didn't lose a ton of car. And I think that's probably the point in which Joey Logano was like, yep, I'm good. I know I started 26, but I am not going to try to push the deal on this one. But that's okay, because that kind of opened the door for a lot of other folks to have good runs. Although I'm not really sure what happened to Trackhouse this week. I was very high on them. Their finishes were very solid on this track over the last few seasons. And I thought we were at least good for a top 10 finish out of Daniel Suarez, a top 5 finish out of Ross Chastain. We got neither. But what we did hit was Trackhouse over Childress. And I said this is probably going to be Ross Chastain holding up his end of the bargain on this one. I was even wrong on the driver. Look, it doesn't matter how I was wrong. I was still right on the Trackhouse over Childress. In the end, Daniel Suarez comes in 16th place, the highest finishing Richard Childress machine, the 25th place, Austin Dillon. And then you got to go all the way down to 31st for Kyle Busch. Boy, swing and a miss on anything with Kyle Busch this weekend.
That might be the most excited people for the season to end is Rowdy fans.
Oh, 1,000%. That guy, whatever setup was in that car, there was no way on God's green earth they want that setup ever again anywhere. But I mean, it did kind of leapfrog. So it went Suarez, Dillon, Busch, and then Chastain ended up finishing in 33rd. I'm talking about missing a setup. Chastain wasn't even anywhere near the front at all day long. He started 22nd, didn't run in the top. I don't even think he ran in the top 15 at all.
Yeah, they just totally missed it. And you sort of wonder, you get these teams where like they don't really have any skin in the game anymore. Are they just testing random shit, like throwing shit at the wall for next year? You don't sort of really know how that all works, I guess, and which teams do and which teams don't, maybe. But we've seen some good runs from both of them lately, so I don't know. They just completely missed it this week, but still ended up cashing this with the Trackhouse over Childress. So nice call by you. I had Austin Dillon top 10. You mentioned 25th. He was one of the two drivers who had got top 10 every single time. The other guy, AJ Allmendinger, became the only one who's 3 for 3. But he was only 2-1. The odds just didn't feel good enough, so didn't take that one. Missed out on AD. But Alex Bowman does it again, Rod. Plus 130. This guy's just a top 10 machine. Once again, finishes inside the top 10. Once again, cashes this bet for us, and we'll take it if they're going to keep giving it to us.
Yeah, Bowman, a solid top 10 car for most of the day. There was points where he was ducking in and out of the top 10, but that last set of stops right there kind of helped just cause that last caution. TK saying Austin Dillon also didn't live up to the top 10 hype, like you said, was charging from 30th to teens in stage 1 and fell off a cliff.
Yeah, he did like sort of come through the field at the beginning, and you're like, okay, that's kind of what we expected after a bad starting spot. And then like once he fell off, you never saw him really go back up. And Andrew as well, pointing out the dinger odds did get better after qualifying. Again, I'm going to say it one more time, Rod. SG.PN/Slack or Slack. Oh, Jesus. SG.PN/Discord. What year is it?
We threw it back in that
that's the Wayback Machine. We don't use that anymore. But SG.PN/Discord. Get over in there. And these guys were talking about it in there. I know a couple of them took it. I believe Andrew was one of them. And what odds did you end up getting, Andrew? I think it was 350 maybe or something like that. If I recall seeing their messages correctly. So, yeah, and that obviously ended up paying off because he ended up with an 8th place finish. So shout out to those guys over in the Discord.
Yeah, again, like I said, a lot of the time when we were watching these tires come off and they were recording and there was all kinds of stuff going on, like that's what made this race so interesting to this time around was the strategy calls that you had to make. Because like we said, when we were doing the preview, this isn't you can stay out on old tires. Ooh, plus 450.
Plus 450. Ooh. That's right.
That's nice. 4.5 to 1 for AJ top 10. But yeah, you couldn't just like stay out and expect to be able to ride all the rest of the way through. Even at the end, when it looked like you could almost stay out on it, but you had to come in on that last caution because if you didn't have new tires, you were not going to finish very well.
Yeah, absolutely. It really made for a good race.
Yeah, it did. I already went over my next two. I had Suarez top 10 at 3-1, Chastain at top 5 at also 3-1. Neither one of those cashed because, well, they didn't run as well as I hoped they would, and that's okay. At least they still beat Childress.
Yeah, same as Zane Smith at top 10 at 12-1. Just obviously nowhere even close. Hocevar did it again, so like these Spire cars kind of continue to run well. Obviously, the 7 hit the spin saw a couple of times. But yeah, unfortunately missed that. Top 4 bets, Rod. I had Gregson at 22-1, Cindric at 25-1. Blaney ends up taking it by finishing 2nd, but Ryan Preece was the next best forward all the way back in 10th place. Gregson 19th, not a super impressive run by him. And then Dillon beat Joey Logano, so there is that, but 27th place finish for him. Not a good run either. I had the Truex top Toyota. Maybe we'll just go back to not betting on him anymore, Rod. And then AJ Allmendinger top finishing Chevy at 28-1. Look, he ends up in 8th place. He's the 4th finishing Chevy, but Chase in 5th place was the best finishing Chevy. So one more overtime, little chaos. I mean, a little bit surprised we got through the end of that without a big block, without a wreck, because you heard they were playing the audio to like Chase Elliott, and they're like, hey, because Elliott asked, he goes, we're kind of all in the same boat here, right? Win, like we have to win. And he goes, everybody's in the same boat. Be selfish, go get it. And you're like, these guys are about to take their gloves off, and they kept it clean, which is probably why they're the best drivers in the world. But could have gotten a lot more chaotic there. That's when an opportunity for a dinger top Chevy at 28-1 comes into play there. Ends up being a top 10 car like we figured he would be, right? Didn't give out the bet because we didn't love the number that it was at. But at 28-1, you got really good value on a guy who was in the mix at the end for it, only 3 spots away from being there. So that's what you're looking for with that type of bet.
Team orders were not in effect with Hendrick Motorsports. There's
no teams at this point in time, Rod, unless you're locked in or eliminated, I guess. Then the team stuff comes into play, like we saw even last week at Vegas with Blaney playing defense there when he had no shot. But if you got a chance, go take it and get it, because it's every man for himself at this point.
Indeed, which is exactly what Tyler Reddick did, which is we talked about him actually winning the race. I had him paired with Christopher Bell as top 5 cars at plus 240. There were a couple of points in which I was sweating that, especially at the end. I was like, you have got Tyler Reddick comes into pit, and then 1 lap later, the caution comes out, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I was trying to figure out. I was thinking in my head, does this hurt him? Does it help him? It's going to be
it seemed, and I heard his interview with Kevin Harvick today on Harvick's, does the Victory Lane interview or whatever every week. And that's what he was saying. He was like, he goes, in the car, I was even like, fuck, like we just missed this it almost worked. We just missed it by a couple laps, but luckily he'd gotten back out. He unlapped himself naturally, which then put them in the catbird spot. And they had only run 2 laps or whatever it was. So they didn't wear the tires enough. And he actually, almost didn't work out because he lost the lead, right? He was the control car on the restart, quickly drops backwards after spinning the tires, but then was able to get back up there.
Yep. And for Christopher Bell, he led 3 laps in this race, but all race long, Christopher Bell was one of the strongest cars. He wasn't going to be competing for a win per se, but he definitely was one of the cars that was going to be in the top 3 at the end of the day, if not the top 5. And thank God for that. He was in the 4th place finish. He had a 4th place finish at the end of the day, thereby cashing this bet in. Look, at points, again, like I said, this was definitely cashing a whole lot, right? They at least was cashing for like 97 laps because both of them were sort of in that top 5 area. But once these late cautions started to hit, I thought, this is it, because you got guys like Byron Bowman, Elliott, right, hanging around there. Hamlin made the charge because he had those tires and he was starting to come through. And I thought, Bell's not gonna last. A couple of these guys are gonna get around him. Thank God they didn't. Both were in the top 5. Both cashed.
Yeah, great call by you, Rod, and a pretty good number 2 for this one.
Indeed. Yours though was really good. Like you said, this is exactly how it was gonna happen.
I'm sad, Rod. I'm sad that we don't have any 1.5 miles left, so we can take this bet once again. They gave us Fords in the top 10 last week, under 2.5 at plus 130. Rod, we hit it last week. Then this week, they gave it to us at plus 165, said we're going to run it back. That's exactly what we did. Ryan Blaney finishes 2nd. Ryan Preece finishes 10th. That is only 2 Fords inside of the top 10. Now, if you go from 10th to 20th, littered with Fords, Rod, you got Preece, Berry, Briscoe, McDowell, Busher, Keselowski, Gragson, and Gilliland. All Fords that finished from 10th to 20th, but doesn't fucking matter. Less than 2.5 inside the top 10. That's what we're looking for. Plus 165. Cashes again. I probably wouldn't be looking for that bet these next 2 weeks. Short tracks, flat tracks. We're going to have probably a lot more Fords in competition, and I don't think that this is something we're going to be able to continue hanging our hat on, unfortunately. So hope you enjoyed the run these last couple of weeks. But yeah, I was shocked they gave it to us with this number again this week, and once again it hits.
How about those Stuart Haas Fords, huh? All finishing back to back to back. That was,
Yeah.
I didn't even know until I looked at it. I was like, I didn't even realize that they
Yeah,
finished.
they took 10th through 12th there, and then I don't know where the other one finished. Not as good.
Well, I do know. Well, yeah. So it was the last one. Noah Gragson was 19.
Oh, yeah.
But I did notice that Chris Buescher did finish worse than 12.5. I didn't get the better than on Chastain, but you got both of your underdog picks, Bowman better and Logano worse. So good job.
Another solid week in the underdog world, Rob.
Gotta love that. All right. 45 cars, not even. Therefore, I did not cash his bet. So, but then again, I had my eyes on a couple of them. And look, the 20 car was up in the mix. The 24 car was up in the mix. Blaney
12 almost won.
12,
I mean,
almost won. So, I mean, I was circling the wagons. It just, Tyler Reddick was one hell of a move, taking away this bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And for outrights, Rod did have Tyler Reddick 8-1. Obviously, that hits cashes, so that's the win. I tossed out Christopher Bell at 7-1. I also tossed out taking him on the pole. He was close. Started in third place. Of course, Reddick ends up with the pole. Guys on the Discord were in on that one too, Rod. So hopefully you were with them. Ty Gibbs the 24-1. We're gonna skip over that.
Can we stop with the Ty Gibbs? Can we stop?
I won't touch him the next 2 weeks, Rod.
Anymore. I'm sorry for all you Gibbs fans.
As soon as we get to our championship odds picks for next year, Rod, no promises that he's not the one I don't call my shot on, but
that's fine.
I'm done with him this season. Gragson 100-1. Look, he bet him 100-1 early in the week. SHR looked really fast in practice and stuff, and as you weren't getting this number again later, Gragson ends up not really panning out. And I mean, 10th, 11th, 12th for the other three guys. It was a long shot, right? And this was likely going to be a playoff guy, and you end up with the top 6 being playoff guys. I get it, but 100-1, I think it was worth it for what we saw from him throughout the weekend, and maybe some things go different, and he ends up there. So don't hate having had that one.
No, I can't even back you on that one. I told you when you started, I was like, nah, Gragson probably not. But
it's 100-1, Rod. It's not supposed to hit.
This is true.
Like Roger Carruth, sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do. Unfortunately, plus 750s sometimes don't hit either. And that's what I had William Byron at. No, I mean, look, William Byron probably wasn't going to win this race. It wasn't, but he still ran well, right? I know the finish was there. Just
he was in the mix of all day. Not, I mean, he wasn't the most dominant car, but he was up there, right? And sort of hanging out.
25th though, and ended up 6th, which is a hell of a run. Like that was like
he climbed through the field and. Yeah. And like it was crazy because you did have all 7 of the playoff guys, right? Joey Logano was locked in. We said he was gonna be bad. He wasn't anywhere up there, but the other 7 were all in the mix to get this done, and 6 of them finished in the top 6. Obviously, Larson's deal happened multiple times, which again, another week of Larson the heavy favorite, and you don't bet on him for a reason. We talked about him in fantasy, and I gave somebody the advice right before the race to take him over some of the other guys because he is that fucking good here. And to not have him, you'd feel like an idiot if he just goes out and kills everybody. But betting wise, the price a lot of times just doesn't end up working out. And this is another example of that. So that's how it goes. And
we'll tell you the weeks that we think this is an all-in on Larson week, right? We gave you Larson, like we gave you
they lead 600 of 500 laps. So
yeah, it's not as if we're like, oh, just fade him because he's the favorite. No, we tell you that there's instances where you do because you know that this is going to happen. We told you we were ooked out by this one. This doesn't seem like a Kyle.
They've got to figure out the tire pressure. Like they're obviously cheating the tire pressure in that right rear because this is multiple high tire wear tracks where he's blown a right rear, and as soon as he hits the wall, although I mean they fixed it enough because he was coming back again before the second crash. But man, hitting the wall like that can fuck those cars up pretty quick, and that's kind of what happened. So,
yes, it did. All right, well then that is the Cup race. We are happy that we cashed some tickets. We're happy that we got to see an exciting race. But there was a race earlier in the day. There was 2 races actually, and we'll talk about both of those on the other side of the break. But first, me tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard, or press Build a Model for Me, and Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop, and also has a myriad of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Plus, Rhythm's NBA models are now live. Building me a model right now as we speak, trying to figure out Danny Dimes' total rushing yards for the game. I want to know whether or not I've got to go over or under whatever book is giving me the best price on that one, because look, Danny's going to rush. There's just no other option in this world for this guy. So I got to figure out what his number is going to be so that I can choose the right side of it. You can claim your 7-day free trial today and build that model with me by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best in the business, BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. U.S. players, you're always welcome. BetUS is live with Trick or Treat on Horror Street from now until Halloween. BetUS will be offering daily promotions and a raffle entry to win a sports or casino prize pack that they will give away on October 31st. As always, you can enter multiple times. Every $200 deposit gets you an entry. Looking at Monday night's game here on the BetUS Sportsbook. The numbers for them right now, I'm pulling up. Why are they not pulling up? See, this is what happens when you do
Just
it on
the Steelers, Rod. Doesn't matter what the number is.
Steelers -265, but they're giving you 6 points on BetUS at -110. I'm definitely taking Steelers minus the 6. No way that in New York, they don't score touchdowns. There's no way they can keep within 6 of that one. So you can get in on that right now. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book.
I do have the Steelers as the last leg of my weekly parlay, Rod. So
Is it
4-teamer
points or what?
Yeah, I got them at -6. So gonna need them to win. Not gonna hedge because I am pretty confident in the Steelers. That could be a mistake, but we do work for SGPN, and the motto is "Let it ride." So that's what I'm gonna do, Rod.
Well, the thing is you have to score touchdowns to keep it within 6, and New York is not
They
scoring.
do have Malik Neighbors, so I mean he might.
Yeah, but they had him last week too, and it's not.
Yeah, they're not going to score a lot of touchdowns, and I mean we all know that Russ is cooking. So
yes, we do. All right, well then, Cody. Speaking of cooking, do we want to get to
Andrew has 2 parlays riding on the Steelers. He's hedging though, so
and Andrew's probably got more than a million of them out there right now. So. Do we want to get to the Xfinity, or do you want to go all the way backtrack to the beginning?
Yeah, let's go Xfinity. We'll work our way backwards through the weekend.
Okay. Great race for the Xfinity race as well. Came down to different strategies, came down to people hanging tight and holding on to what they had. But in the end, my friends, we get ourselves an Austin Hill win, which, by the way, of all the Hill love that I gave, did I say that he was going to probably win?
We both gave a lot of Hill love.
But we didn't give the winner.
We didn't give him as the winner, which is interesting. I wonder. I have to go back and look at what his odds were. I can look it up. But yeah, I mean, he locks himself in. So it's now Austin Hill and AJ Allmendinger are the first two to lock themselves in, Rod, which is sort of interesting because not necessarily the original guys you would think of, right, to be of everyone, like probably not the guys you're going to pick as the first 2 winners. He was only 12-1 to win. So it's not, I mean, it's good odds, right? But I could see why we didn't, especially like we got him at +850 for the top Chevy. So why not just take that instead of the win? I think we did make the right call there. So, but that's good. So yeah, now it's AJ Allmendinger and Austin Hill locked into the championship race. And the other 6 guys, much like the Cup Series, will battle it out for the 2 spots this coming week at Martinsville, Rod. But yeah, let's start it off with we had Sam Mayer versus Sheldon Creed in this head-to-head, Rod. And unfortunately, I was right again. Sheldon Creed beats Sam Mayer. That is 2 in a row for me. Once again, Sheldon Creed gets it done. Sam Mayer does not get it done, Rod. Mayer actually a 9th place finish, so he held on for a somewhat decent finish. Props to him. But Sheldon Creed finished in 5th place. He wins this head-to-head. I had the Creed side at -110. You had the Mayor side at -120. Oof. So hopefully y'all followed me and did not follow Rod.
Well, you backed me into this bet anyways. It's not like I had a choice. I had to take the other side.
We're running it back the next 2 weeks too, right, Rod?
I feel like we should. Our weekly Mayor versus Creed bet. But here's the thing about it, right? So this one, I mean, obviously Creed comes out with a monster performance in qualifying, puts himself on the outside pole. And the JGR Toyotas, man, they were just they were on fire.
I wasn't on them this week. They were on fire. Yes.
They were. Well, I mean, we talked about the fact that we knew Amarola was going to be good. You talked about Creed at length. Like we knew JGR was going to be fast. We knew they were going to be good. Chandler Smith starts on the pole and unfortunately has Chandler Smith problems and ends up finishing in 13th. But
I just can't catch a break. And then he's saying post race, like basically nobody wants to hire him because he doesn't have any money. Boy, rough times over there, Rob.
I feel like the former colleague drivers are all sort of the same because it's like the woe is me. AJ Allmendinger kind of had that same attitude where he was like, "Oh shucks, no one like Eeyore, nobody loves me, everybody hates me." So it's like, sorry, Chandler. I mean, it's not that, dude. You're a good driver. You gotta push yourself there.
Yeah, I guess it is a former colleague driver issue, Rod. I unfortunately gave some love to a JRM driver, and that did not work out for me. I had Connor Zilich. I gave out his top 5 at +140. I gave him out a top Chevy at +550. I kind of added that during the show. I wasn't overly impressed with Connor Zilich in this one. I mean, he didn't really look like the Connor Zilich we've seen the first couple of starts. I don't know. I mean, he started in 12th place. He started in 13th. He finished in 12th. Like he wasn't really in either stage finishes in the top 10. You never felt like he was really, I don't know. I don't even remember them really talking about him on the broadcast as far as, he's really doing much. So just sort of disappointed, as Andrew says, was he even in the race? I don't know. I don't remember seeing him. And so, yeah, this was unfortunate because we know how good the kid is. And we've seen it through the first 2 starts, right? A win and a 4th place. And you're like, okay. And then just nothing this week. It was kind of strange.
I mean, he did finish 12th, and the broadcast did sort of say, he is one of the next up and comers, along with Swalich.
Well, and like 12th is still a great run. Like I mean, for his 3rd career start, I mean, still a good finish, right? And he beat teammates in Brandon Jones and Sammy Smith. So it's not like it was a bad day by any means, but I guess just had some higher expectations.
Well, I think everybody did, up to and including himself. But speaking of beating Sammy Smith, that is something that Austin Hill did. And he beat Sammy Smith. He beat Jesse Love. He beat Ryan Truex. And he won the Group B on BetUS at +260. I mean, it's hard to beat the first guy on the grid. So
let's just clean out all these bets, Rod. Here's all of the Austin Hill bets. You gave out the Hill to win that group. I had him top Chevy at +850. I had him top 5 at +300. And you had him as the winning car number because you had 20 to 29 at +310. So we were covered, even though we didn't have the Austin Hill outright. And again, this is why it's not all just about betting the outrights. Sure, obviously, betting his outright at 12-1 paid out for you. If you had it, props to you. Good job. But it's not always just about that. We had all these other creative ways to get on him. So we were covered if Custer holds on to it there at the end because it looked like maybe he was going to. If Almirola comes through at this speed, you're covered on some of these other things. And he ends up winning the race. So he clean swept all of these bets for us and gave us a really, really good day.
Yeah. Again, I don't, it's funny that we were on him on all these different ways, but we just didn't like but you're right, because look, so at the end of this, right, when he led the last bit of this race, he led from lap 189 to 200. So it wasn't he had to take the lead over from Cole Custer, who had the lead for 9 laps, and then Allmendinger had it before, Creed had it before. Like Austin Hill had to work for it. This was not something that he necessarily was given.
Well, so here's the way to look at it too, is I ended up taking Zilich at 14-1, which is kind of the driver in that range, right? Instead of taking Hill at 12-1, I took Zilich at 14-1 because I felt like Zilich, and I guess I did have some other bets on him, but I trusted Zilich less as far as actually getting me there. But he's got that ceiling of he's in a super fast car. He's this young hotshot kid. Maybe just comes in and tears it up, right? But with Hill, it's like You take all these other bets because you know he's going to be there at the end. It's not always going to be a win, and most of the times it isn't, but he's going to be there. He's going to be top 5 at the end of the day. He's going to be in position to be the top Chevy. He's going to beat these other. How is he even in this group run? I don't understand. Looking back, just ridiculous. But yeah, and so sometimes it's just about picking and choosing your spots, and it all worked out nicely for us.
Indeed. Yeah. So Jesse Love, just to wrap that one up, came in 4th place. But look, for Love and Hill, both of those guys, right? Childress teammates started 14th and 16th on the grid. That team had some definite speed. Sammy Smith, you got to go all the way down. Say again?
He was way down there.
Yeah, he was in 22nd, and then Ryan Truex ends up finishing a bit better than in 21st. So, yeah, this group.
Which Truex was running pretty decent, and then he had that late where he just got completely fucking blindsided by somebody. We called him an idiot. I can't even remember who it was, but somebody blew a tire. Call car, maybe? I can't remember.
Williams.
Yeah, it was Josh Williams. Yep, blew a tire and got into Truex, and Truex was like, "What the fuck?" But I don't think he realized he had blown a tire. But
I don't.
Speaking of calling cars, Rod.
Oh yeah, I had AJ Allmendinger top 5. God, he finished 10th in this race, and I don't know if he was ever going to be an actual top 5 car. I just he had the speed, he had the the right moves. He finished at the end of stage 1 in 6th, finished the end of stage 2 in 2nd, and then that was it. There was nothing left after that. It just pit cycles came through. He had the lead for 9 laps there, from lap 171 to 179, and thought, okay, great, he's going to be a top 5 car, and then cars just kept passing him at the end.
Yeah. And this is the part where it's like, well, maybe he's already locked into Phoenix and looking ahead, right? And we didn't see that in the truck race, which we'll talk about in a few. But again, I think that was just such a different scenario. I think I had brought up being a little cautious about this one because of that angle. Maybe that's what it was, but not sure. But speaking of guys who were disappointing, Chandler Smith, top Toyota, 3-1, Rod, qualifies in the pole, and you're like, all right, let's go. Here we are. Immediately puts the parachute up in honor of John Force and flies backwards, and that was it. So I don't know. I'm so frustrated with Chandler Smith lately, and I really want to see the guy get a ride because I love him, and I think he's a good driver, but it has been frustrating kind of down the stretch here. 13th place finish. I don't know. This one really didn't feel like it had a shot once the green flag actually flew.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because look,
should have cashed out and got that that little bit of whatever after he started on the pole there, Rod.
That big cash out, right?
Yeah, get that 0.01% profit on there.
The thing is that we've said this so many times before. Like I will never say that that these drivers are not among the most talented in the world, because there's no way I'm doing that, right? I can't drive, which is why I talk about it like that. So, but it is frustrating because when you know that they're more talented than they're showing out, and they're in fantastic equipment, and I know that it pisses them off just as much as it pisses us, probably more because it is their career, but it's frustrating to kind of know that somebody's as talented as they are, and just you don't see it week in and week out, which is probably why it's not, Chandler, that you don't have money. It's because you've been frustrating yourself and probably frustrating everybody else around you. So, I don't know. That's why I don't progress any further into like the world of ESPN or anything like that. So.
There you go, Rod. Speaking of not progressing.
I wish.
I don't think your next bet could have progressed one more spot.
I wish that there was a way for me to like have plus or minus a spot on some of these bets, because I had this is like the second week. Actually, I don't say second week in a row. This is probably many weeks in a row. And this is why, Chandler, I'll never do your job, because I don't get things right either. Riley Herbst, had him in a top 5 car. He ends up finishing 6th. I don't know. I'm so pissed off because guess who swiped the spot from him at the very, very end? This one, Cody, if I could throw my soft brick through the television, this is what I would, because at the end of the race, it was Herbst. And then all of a sudden it was Creed. And then it was Herbst. And then it was Creed. And then it was Herbst. And finally it was Creed. And that was it. And I was like, what the actual, yeah. It was not.
I was rooting for both of them to slow each other down and let Ryan Sieg pass the 4 plus 450 rod. Oh man, this one was looking really good. We gave it out. I was like, I'm not missing out on it again. And then you're watching the race and he's just fucking fast again. And you're like, and then on the broadcast, they're like, oh yeah, hasn't been prepped in the SHR shop since March. And I'm like, what? He's been running this good without help? Give this man some help. He won $100,000 a few months ago in the Dash for Cash deal. Like, put this thing back in the SHR. Imagine what he could do if they were prepping the car, Rod. But man, plus 450. Look, this was the right call again. I picked the wrong week. I should have did it last week. We talked about it, kicking myself for it. Tried to make up for it this week, and he was there with a chance, but just didn't quite get it done at the end. But 7th place finish. I mean, that's a victory to them. Again, they're going to continue to take finishes like that, especially switching this car number and getting those owner points up. But man, heartbreaking to be so close to cashing this one again and once again missing it.
You were rewarding past behavior instead of the future performance, but
although the performance was there, so
it was.
It's not like he just came out and shit the bed, but
no. Well, and like you
he's
said,
not Sam Mayer.
No, God. Plus, like you said, plus 450 for 2 spots. That's not. I mean, that's a really good call.
That's how you hit those bets when you hit them, is because you're getting the guys that are getting close there, and it's not that easy to find a good number value like plus 450, which isn't the greatest number ever, but when he's getting close consistently, he hits it every once in a while. We should have just kept with the system and played it last week, but you live and you learn, and now we know, Rod.
You had a better shot of cashing that one than Dinger's top 5. I mean, that's 4 positions, and Dinger's was a plus 125, so gotta love that. You alluded to it earlier, Cody. I got the winning car bet 20 to 29 because I told you it was either going to be Almirola, it was going to be Austin Hill, it was going to be any of those guys that were in that.
You were covered with this. Looking back, when you gave this out, I agree with it, but it was like, man, you're only getting 3 guys, and like Almirola is probably the only one who really is going to win this race, but not so much. I mean, all 3 of these guys had their opportunities, so this was a great call, getting all 3 of them at plus 310.
3 to 1. I mean, that's. That's still a damn good bet if that's the only bet you place, because if Almirola would have found a way to actually win that race, you still wouldn't have been mad. You still would have been covered. So
but 2 of the top 3 and 3 of the top 7. I mean, that's what you're looking for. So I had Almirola at 5 to 1. I was kicking myself for a little while. I'm like, I should have just took fucking Custer. I thought about it, but he was shorter, and he ends up finishing second again, which he's done multiple times in this race. Almirola 3rd place. He had his chances. Like, he was up there, he wasn't, and just didn't quite have it at the end. The car seemed to fade a little bit, so missed out on that. I'd say Mayer at 9 to 1. Again, we talked about it, right? I thought that it was going to be boom or bust for him. Instead, it was just meh. So meh is what it was. Also for his teammate in Zilich at 14 to 1. So missed out on the outrights here, but the rest of the card had a pretty strong day, and we'll take it.
Indeed, yeah. My Herbst 14 to 1 bet obviously failed to get there too. It wasn't going to win. And but I mean, look, he did finish inside of the top 6, so there's that. We'll take that and we'll run with that one as well. So hats off to him. Hats off to Austin Hill. And I mean, look at that emotion was you could not deny that emotion out of Austin Hill after that race, and I'm going to be excited to watch that carry through into the rest of the next 2 races.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw it from this Cup Series as well with Reddick. So a lot of emotion this weekend. You love to see it. Big wins and clutch spots for these guys.
Indeed. All right, Cody. What time is it?
It is end finger time. Oh wait, is that how the saying goes?
It's time for the finger. Wait, hold on.
Wait a minute.
That's the wrong appointment. No, Truck Series. Let's go to the early morning Truck Series race.
Why'd you bend over, Rob? That was weird.
Grant Enfinger, you got to watch on YouTube, where Grant Enfinger comes away with yet another win. It's funny because neither one of us gave him out for much because we knew that. Well, I mean, you did
win.
Had him to win. That's right.
I mean, it's not that important, but I did have him at 12 to 1 to win the race. Right?
For much though, that was it. That was the only thing we gave him as. But we should have went all in on Grant Enfinger. I know that the numbers weren't necessarily all there, but
but this was again the situation of how the Truck Series does seem to be way different as far as he's been locked into the championship race for 2 months, right? It's so ridiculous that he's had all this time. And so we felt like it would affect that the least in this series of the 3, which ended up being what happened, right? Obviously he wins. That's why I didn't quite trust taking the other stuff, because you don't know if you end up with a Joey Logano performance, then you miss on everything. But it felt like the number to win was just too big for what he's capable of doing. And clearly, I mean, he showed it to us, right? So we saw it. Andrew, we'll see you later. He doesn't want to be triggered by this stupid race. I'm sure he's referencing Stuart Friesen finishing in 6th place, Rod, which we'll get to in a minute.
It's true. Although we did have a decent day overall. I will say that my day could have been a lot better had it not been for a couple of stupid. Andrew, you know what? I'm going to join you. Cody's going to just recap this one because I am a little pissed off at a couple of the things that made this card a little less profitable for everybody out there. But Cody, let's go ahead and start with our cards then.
We did start off with a winner, Rod. Friesen over Sawalich. Look, Friesen's been really good at this track. I rolled all the dice in on him. At least in this bet, it worked out. He finishes in 6th place, which was a little bit heartbreaking in and of itself, but beats Sawalich again. Sawalich 17th place. Like, he's just not been that impressive in the one truck, Rod. I'm going to be really interested to see him and JGR Equipment next year, full-time in the Xfinity Series after a rather subpar part-time performance in the trucks. Like, I don't really know what to expect from him next season. And we'll obviously talk about that more in the off season, but going to be sort of interesting because, I don't know. He just hasn't been that impressive. And this really wasn't even a close bet. So pretty easy cash here.
Yeah. It's frustrating because.
Oh, look, you and Andrew are going to the bar, and JDK is going to jump on the show, finish with me because he thought it was a great finish.
Well, of course.
It's so funny how much your opinion can be skewed based on how your bets went. All right.
No, hey, listen, we've said that time and time again, right? Where we're like, everybody loves it until all of a sudden you don't love it anymore until you're pissed off about it. But so I had one that actually won, though. This was the first one that ended up winning, and that was Rajah Caruth. I took him over Caden Honeycutt. Here's the thing, man. I don't know. I kind of poo-pooed Caden Honeycutt in the beginning, and all he does is come out and ends up qualifying in 6th place. Has a shit ton of speed, right? I mean,
oh my goodness. I mean, at one point his live odds were like 5-1, crazy, but he looked really good stage 1. He gets that 2nd place finish, and you're like, I even said in the Discord, I was like, the fuck did this Honeycutt speed come from? Like, and he's gonna be full time next season, Rod. And we've seen that 45 truck be good. Carson Hocevar in the past. Let's keep that in mind as we go into next season with the trucks. He's gonna be a guy to pay attention to. But they came out of the gate with some fucking speed, but Rajah Caruth looked pretty good as well.
And this is what I was saying, too, that Rajah Caruth was going to come out and be a solid truck all day long, and that's what you were banking on, because in the end, he ends up finishing 8th. He qualifies 3rd, so even at the beginning of this race, he was already a better truck than Honeyman was. But, again, so this is what happens with Honeyman. Honeyman actually ends up getting kind of caught up in it, slow pit stops, and can't really rebound from it as well. So for Honeyman, it was just a matter of not having the experience. Say again?
Honeycutt, not Honeyman, but
wow,
you're still correct.
Honeyman, Honeycutt, Honeyman, Honeyham.
They're both, all of the honeys were actually I don't think Honeyman was in this race anyways, but
yeah, no, Honeyman was not in this race. Honeyham was in this race as well. No, look, I just like anybody else that can't get Allgaier and Allmendinger correct. We're all good. But no, so Honeycutt pits on lap 99, right? That one green flag stop in 99, has a slow stop. Can't really continue to get his truck back up there again. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to him for as much speed as he had. But, listen, Rajah Caruth was on it. That pit crew was on it. The crew chief was on it, making the right calls. Rajah Caruth pits on 97, has fresher tires, and comes out and starts getting spots together. But yeah, I mean, this was one where I was very convinced that Rajah Caruth was going to have a good day. Finishes 8th, solid top 10 finish for him.
Yeah, it was a good run. Great call by you there. I had Ben Rhodes top 5, 4-1. I don't know. Just maybe got to quit Ben Rhodes until next season, Rod. I think. I don't know. I don't know, 12th place. I mean, he started 19th, finished 12th. That was about the extent of Ben Rhodes this weekend, and they've just been off. And I don't know. I mean, he's on his 479th crew chief driver combination. Maybe we need to try a different crew chief. I don't know, but just not been Ben Rhodes' season here as of late, and maybe looking forward to next season already because obviously he's been eliminated for a minute. So probably going to lay off the roads the next few weeks, which means that I've talked shit about him before, and then he wins the next week. So take that for what you will, and maybe bet on him in Martinsville.
Yeah, just stay off the road. That's all we ask. Stay off the road for right now. All right. So my next bet, winning, and I'm out of gas. That's what happens to Mr. Lane Riggs. He's leading from lap 86 to 112, and that is as far as his little gas tank could take him.
The difference in a rookie and a veteran saving gas, Rod.
For sure, 100%. I mean, this was Lane Riggs' race to win. He could have continued to stick with it. Unfortunately, come up a couple of laps short, and you don't win the race, and you don't finish top 5. So Lane Riggs' top 5 bet did not cash.
And I was trying to remember what was the deal, because I felt like he was like fast early, and then didn't he have like a penalty or something sent him to the back, I think, and then but charge back up through there. Then they used the strategy, right, and it looks great. It worked for Enfinger. But yeah, he ended up, I think it was with 2 laps to go, runs out along with someone else ran out at the same time as he did. And and then you thought, oh God, please don't be a caution flag here. Luckily there wasn't a caution, but I needed one more person to run out, Rod, because Stuart Friesen could have got a top 5 at 6-1. And instead he finishes in 6th place. Again, the pain of being so close, especially at 6-1. This is just, it's a Stewie track, man. He's good here. That dirt track driving ability, I think, comes into it. And he looked really good, and it's played his part at least. I mean, I don't know that he was top 5 all day long, right? I mean, that's not necessarily the case, but worked his way up there and put himself in position late, which is what you're looking for. A couple of guys run out in front of him, and you're like, all right, we just need one more. Doesn't quite get it, unfortunately. So he did catch the head-to-head for us earlier, but just missed out on the top 5 here.
Yeah, I mean, really all it was the fact that Lane Riggs, it was long about lap 85.
Was Friesen one that ran out? Did he?
I don't think he ran out.
No, I don't think he ran out either. I was trying to, it's been a while since the truck race, so it was all the way back on Saturday, but I was trying to remember who the other guy that ran out of fuel was, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Nick Sanchez on the back stretch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was running, I think, 2nd or 3rd at the time. I think he was 3rd to Riggs and Enfinger, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, that didn't help. And then Daniel Dye. And we do this again. Daniel Dye, I had him as a top 5 truck. He finishes in 7th, exactly where he started. But look, Daniel
15-1, like,
yeah,
this was a fucking great call, and if we could have top 10s. Oh, right. I mean,
750.
But to be within 2 spots at 15-1, absolutely great call by you. And yeah, Andrew's saying that Friesen was in 4th and stumbled at the end. That's what dropped him to 6th. I couldn't remember how it played out, but I guess that's how it was. But the Dana Dye call by you, absolutely great call, especially this number. And so fucking close to getting it.
Yeah, I was cheering him on as much as humanly possible. That I wanted to adopt him and not Michael Waltrip in this instance. But yeah, I mean, qualified.
Well, I don't think Waltrip has to adopt him because he's already his. But
this is true. It's the hair. If the hair was still there, that's 2 spots right there.
Yes, the hair definitely would have been worth 2 spots. I'll do my next 2 bets together here. I had Zilich and Carruth to be top Chevys. Neither of them were. Enfinger ends up being the top Chevy. Obviously, he wins the race. But then Connor Mosack was the next best Chevy in 3rd place, Rod. That's kind of what you're looking for, right? A little bit of a mix-up. We talked about Carruth being fast earlier. The Zilich play was, again, just based on the talent. Didn't like him as much in the 75 truck. We've seen him struggle in the truck series much more, right? And so weren't overly shocked. But big enough number that it was like, you want to have something on him just because the kid is that good. Obviously did not pan out on him this weekend.
Sing us a song, Piano Man. You didn't play this weekend because Ty Majeski manages to finish inside of the top 3 at plus 180.
Amazing. We have all these people run out of gas, and Majeski somehow makes it to the end, Rod.
I tell you what, man, he must have put extra quarters into that player piano before the last few laps, because Ty Majeski starts 5th and winds up finishing in 2nd place, thereby cashing this top 3 bet. Ty Majeski was leading this race at certain points as well. So for him, I mean, he didn't actually lead laps, but he was in the front right before people passed him. He would take the lead real quick, and then he would get back on there. Just challenging Heim there at the end around lap 84, but obviously couldn't make the pass stick. But I don't think I was ever questioning that this bet was going to actually cash in the end, because Ty Majeski had a pretty dominant truck for most of the day to stick around the leaders. And who knows, Grant Enfinger ends up running out of fuel as well, which he doesn't. We could have got the Majeski 7-1 as well.
Maybe, but not so much, Rod. How about your winning truck number? That played out pretty good.
No, it did not. Winning truck number 30 plus.
Oh no, wow. No, I just went backwards like 6 years to when he drove the 98 truck for some reason.
Well, Majeski is the 98 truck. That's the one that I thought.
Majeski is now. Enfinger used to be a long time ago, but
yeah.
Okay.
So winning truck 30 plus, and then over 18.5. Neither one of those hit. Majeski was the next best car, or next best truck rather. He could have cashed this bet, but he didn't. So I'm bitter.
Yeah, unfortunate. Sorry, Rod. I had Corey Heim plus 160. Look, fastest truck on the day, no question about it. Then he comes in for fuel, tires, and he's coming, right? I mean, he's flying through the field, and then just stalled out. He needed everybody to run out, and they didn't. And this is why you take the insurance plays, Rod. It's going to be Heim time, but just in case it's not, maybe Grant Enfinger gets it done. Well, guess what? Grant Enfinger gets it done at 12-1. Also had Friesen at 40-1, which he ends up finishing in 6th place. Maybe some more shit gets crazy there at the end. He wins, who knows? But yeah, obviously Enfinger hits at 12-1 and cashes the night, and ends up being a beautiful day.
Indeed. Yeah, my Majeski, like I said, 7-1 didn't hit. I also had Caruth at 22-1. And, Raja Caruth, 8th place finish at 22-1. He had a fast truck, right? We told you that he qualified up toward the front. So, 3rd place start for him. If he's able to mix it up with those trucks, if everybody else in front of him runs out of gas, then, well, I mean, he pit with everybody else. But, if he plays a different strategy, maybe he's the one that ends up winning this race. So I don't hate it for 22-1.
Nope, absolutely not. So Truck Series, Rod, a little different here, right? We did not have a new winner. Grant Enfinger won the previous race, so he's still locked in, and he does not take 2 spots. Boy, so funny. Was it NASCAR Chasm, I think, had tweeted the graphic of Enfinger with 2 spots, and this guy just lost his mind. Like, he can't take up 2 spots. That's not how it works. Like, just like it's that like meme of the joke just going right over the guy's head. Like, buddy, calm down. So yeah, Corey Heim looking pretty good at 49 to the good. Christian Eckes at 38 to the good. Piano Man himself, Majeski at 22 to the good. Everybody else below that. So we'll talk more about that this week because the Truck Series will be back in action. But only one guy locked in and 3 spots available in the Truck Series. So a little different from the Cup and Xfinity Series.
Congrats, Grant Enfinger, on occupying 2 spots in the NASCAR Truck Series championship race. All right. Well then, Cody, that is Miami. That is Homestead-Miami. And we are going to bid bye-bye, adios to Homestead-Miami and move on to Martinsville, where we will wrap up the regular season with a tear in our eye. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to one last regular season race before we head down to Phoenix and wrap it all up. But yeah, man, I loved this weekend race. I almost don't want to say goodbye to it because it was really good. And plus, we had a good F1 race as well. So this whole weekend of racing was fantastic.
Yeah, this should be the championship race, Rod. Now, the one thing I have heard potentially is they're doing Homestead next March. Obviously, as we talked about before, they've moved it up to March. Then it will give it a year and a half to undergo renovations while they try to bid it back into the championship race. Hopefully, NASCAR will listen and change that. If they don't change it for next season, like start the renovations today and let's have the championship race there next season. But I don't think that'll happen, unfortunately. So, yeah, great weekend. Very exciting. Now, short track, the oldest track on the NASCAR circuit, right? Or the track that's been on the circuit since the beginning to settle it and set the field for Phoenix. Rod, the odds have just dropped for the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. Any guesses on who the favorite is?
I'm going to have to say that it's Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson would be correct. Plus 400 once again. Denny's right behind him at plus 450. Blaney, Byron, Elliott, Logano, Bell, Truex. Wow, Reddick is 25-1. Probably for good reason. So
give me all the Blaney though. I feel like he got
plus 500, Rod. Oh, boy, it's gonna be a tough week to pick outrights this week for sure. So we will do so though tomorrow on the Cup Series Pick Show, Rod. So make sure you join us then. In the meantime, follow me over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. Find all my stuff there. Give me the Steelers -6 tonight. Let's finish out the parlay. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining.
Indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it's in between media. Go check out the Back Road with Seth and Elliott this week. Give me George Pickens as the first touchdown scorer for tonight's game.
Washington's the big tight end for Steelers. I don't know what his number is, but take him.
I mean, that's fine. The long shots are great, but not very many Steelers score touchdowns outside of these guys. So, anyways. Love you guys. We will see you tomorrow with the Cup Series episode. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.